I was gonna say from listening to this episode, I would like to apologize for how many times I say like. Okay.
I cannot find an episode. I listen to a
What?
lot.
I did too. I can't.
I mean, I'm
pretty sure
like, but
this
I can say
series-
that. I'm like, wow, we really have a good podcast.
We
So many
do.
episodes.
Hello and welcome to Table for Five with no reservations. Take a seat at the table for a fresh, sweet, salty, tart, and pleasantly bitter conversation.
Hey everyone, I want to thank you for taking a seat at the table. Today we are going to start a new series. We are kind of looking back to our past episodes and series. Each one of us is going to bring a different idea to the table about what has changed or how we haven't, and kind of revisit a couple of our favorite episodes. Tonight I have Kim,
Hello.
Jen,
Hi, everyone.
Jamie,
Hello.
and Tabs.
Hello.
And I'm Rachel. I listen to us when Seely's up and we can't call. Like I'll finish a book and then it goes right into playing episodes. I love us so much. And so some of my favorite episodes are the Q&As, because I feel like in addition to no reservations, we get to sort of quick fire a lot of topics, which I think is fun. So in that spirit, I had all of us listen back to one from July of this past year. And it's just so interesting. First, I feel like so much has changed. I don't know. And so much hasn't. What do you guys think after listening back?
My comment was we sounded a lot fresher back in the July.
Not so
Not
beat
fresh.
down.
That's
Summer
what we
beat
does.
us.
It's
down.
the sun. It's the sun. It's the light. All those
Yeah.
hours of light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We definitely had a little
But
bit
we all
more
had
pep
like
to our
crazy
steps.
summers, and I think the summer beat us down. Fall beat us down. Here we are.
Yeah, July, we were still like spry and ready for challenge. Now
Rolling
we're
into
just
the
crawling. One of the things that struck me is, like we had talked about before we started recording, it's like, gosh, so much doesn't change. As I'm listening back, I'm like, oh yeah, that is still our story about why I stopped work. Or I find myself still just the same amount of grateful for the same things. I don't know.
well, in that episode, you should tell the people what the episode was about.
Go ahead, Tibbs.
That episode was like a Q&A, like questions from our listeners, which
Yes.
is kind of nice because it wasn't stuff that we would normally address.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some of it, but I don't know. I like the direct questions from our listeners. It's
Well,
nice.
We do so well on the fly.
We really do. We really do.
Well, I thought it was interesting. I mean, I know I'm kind of speaking for other people in this way, but like a lot of you guys were on the cusp of big life changes. So that was like, because to me, some of the things I was saying, I'm like, oh my gosh, that feels like yesterday. But I'm like, oh, that's still when Rachel lived in a different house.
Yeah.
She was getting to move and like not knowing where you guys were going to be at and what, the hopes you had for the new house with Seely and a fresh start. And then Tabs was moving up across the
Yep.
country.
Yeah.
Big life.
That was right before you
divorce.
moved to Tabitha. Is that?
Yeah. I think
We
we
were-
recorded it before. Yeah. Yep.
I was getting ready to go to Florida.
Yeah.
So just like I was just thinking like, man, a lot has like it's not that long ago, but a lot has happened.
Oh
It was like a temporary move, only 10 days.
You did.
We did
Our-
spend those 2 extra days in South Carolina on the way home.
Right.
Oh
Right.
my gosh. I almost did not make it through that move because we got
Same here.
COVID right
Boy.
before.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Tabs.
Mhm.
I mean, what a doozy. Our listeners now know that at a certain point, you guys decided that divorce was in your future.
Yes.
What they maybe haven't thought about is that you were working out this whole plan to show up in Montana with this new life. Like Jamie just said about us, like moving from Woodbury to this house. It's like at that time, it was just hoping that the sale of this place would go through so that this place could go through. I mean, just the
Oh, yeah.
steps that it takes. And then, I mean, by this time it's the new year and you're used to going to the grocery stores. You know where to find the thing. You've got a dentist that worked out. I mean, you probably don't, but
I do,
but like you're in this life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's done. Sealed and delivered here in Montana.
I remember the last question that we had was from listen, wanted to know how you like juggle being an attorney and
Oh yeah,
doing all this
Natalie.
stuff with your life, but like where your life was like in such a different place, that was kind of difficult, I would imagine.
Yeah, and it's weird too to look back at that because this is also hard
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like, how were we juggling all of that? And it's a different schedule and it's a different resources and in a different state. And the hours that we have things for our kids are less, which makes it more complicated to like work full time. And I feel like I was listening back specifically to that question and thinking about all the changes over all the time since Nixon came into the picture. And I think all of us go through that, especially as parents with kids with disabilities, and it's always fluctuating. No matter what, it's always fluctuating because we don't have the options that other people have for childcare, or if you don't have family support or people that can watch your kids or do the pickup at school. Like, I mean, we have a drop off at 8:30, 9 o'clock, 11:30, and 2:18 or 1:18 on Wednesdays, every day of the week. So it's like, how are you,
Yeah.
how do you work? That doesn't make any sense.
So Tabs, and I was learning, and for Rachel too, when you were listening to the episode, did you feel that like, because I know Tabs, you kind of just said that it's like just different, like
Mhm.
there's trials, but they're just different. Did you feel like you had more hope and that things didn't turn out how you like, or that maybe things have turned out better than you had imagined at the time, or just you were just flying and seeing where you would land?
I think that I had no idea what this was going to be like. No idea. Single parenting of 2 children
Mm-hmm.
is harder than any courtroom I ever walked into or
Mhm.
any work that I've ever done. It is so hard. So I don't think I could have known what that was going to feel like or look like, or
Mhm.
like, I felt tired and drained before, but it would be in spurts of like,
Yeah.
1 or 2 days.
Situational, like a crazy week.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you have like, changes going on or no sleep, but then you have someone you can tag out with,
Yeah, you
it's
could
a
divide
whole,
and conquer.
yeah, it's a whole different ballpark. So I think at that time I was kind of in a blur of like tasks to get done, like
Mhm.
got to sell the house, got to buy a new house, got to get this logistics of moving. How are we going to do that? Which people are coming? All of that was happening in the background. And I think my brain was kind of focused on that a little bit
Are
at
you
the
happy
time.
now to like not be going through that
Yes.
anxiety of the unknown?
Yes, for sure.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
I
and
remember you spent so much time, Tabs, in the like space where you planned out so many things, but nothing had actually become.
Oh, yeah.
And so until there was one date, nothing could grow to be an actual plan, like an
Mhm.
actionable plan. It was just like things to do.
You bought a house.
I literally bought a
internet.
house I'd never walked into.
Can I just say one thing? Let's just say it. Tabitha, you're a badass.
Yeah,
You are
girl.
a badass.
Thank you. I
Mm.
feel worn. But thank you.
But you look good. You look good.
I think that you've been through the hardest hump. It's still uphill, but I think you're over the hottest part of just the reality of like what it was like and
Mhm.
figuring out the schools and
Yeah, that was
processing
hard.
your emotions and everything
Mhm.
at the same
I
time.
think you don't even get to, I don't even think, I'm sorry, I'm not speaking for you, Tabs. I just think in general, I don't even think you get to process your emotions in that time because you
No.
are just in your checklist mode. Like, I have to sell my
Mhm.
house, I have to buy a new house, I got to get my 2 autistic children across the country. I mean, you just kind of go, and I'm saying you, but
Yeah.
people, you go into like this sort of survival mode of just getting through that.
Yeah.
And then I think when it's done, it's all quieted down is when it starts to sort
Oh,
of
yeah.
like taking out the garbage. You know what I mean? Like, it's
No
kind
doubt
of
about it.
little
Yeah.
things that settles in and kind of hits you all at once.
Yes. Well, and
Well, it's
thank you
'cause you
for the
stopped.
badass comment.
You are a
too.
badass.
I appreciate it. Yeah, you do stop. You settle and you stop, and that's when all of it hits
And then
you like hard.
exactly. Then
Mhm.
that's when everything.
Yeah, but it is
Feel
weird to think back at that because pretty much the majority of this was happening through the entire 2022.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Yeah.
the process of it all and doing all that stuff. So when I was listening back, I was thinking back about like Natalie's question specifically, because I think we
knew.
all go through these moments where you have to make fundamental changes because there's not resources or not
Yeah.
time, or
Listening
there's
to you answer, Tabs, like having, okay, so Celie is going to be 8 in February, and my job never went back to full time for very long when she was ours. And
yeah.
I've talked a lot about how like little by little each thing got kind of taken away, or each thing was less, or each thing was mindfully more powerful in the short time I was doing it, or whatever it was. And you and I were talking like in real time about how like in a short period of time you switched jobs 3 times, all in an effort to downsize and shift things down so you could like do better with what the effort you had to pay, right?
Yeah.
And just watching from the outside, right now, I know that your type A is probably like on the freak out a little skittish.
Yeah, no
There
doubt
is
about that.
no charts describing like how the depreciation of this thing and this thing is going up, and this thing is going down, and like how you're adding and, you know, earning. But Tab's like, you're doing it. And so much has changed and so much has been stripped away. And there's so much that was not stable in that life that even though this is such a shift, I guarantee that once you've done July to July, you're just going to feel so much more capable.
I think it's crazy to look back at our episodes, period, because it is so interesting what everyone was saying, that everything changes, but so many things don't change. You know, it's like we are in as much of a routine with our kids as they are with us. You know, like we formulate the routines just as much as they formulate their routines in order to manage comfort and safety and, you know, all of these things. And so we have to have a predictable life in order to make sure our kids can make it through sometimes a couple hours, you know what I mean? Even with like what snacks you have in the house or how you get to the car every morning. Like there's so many routines. It's just mind blowing. But we were dropped into Montana. A lot of things have changed, but a lot of things have not changed for my kids' routines. Have changed, but they haven't changed, you know?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I think with autism too, it's like just this huge series of like progressions and regressions. Like where it's like, oh, now we're back to no sleep again, or we're back to like this phase again. But like in then other ways, it's like, oh wow, now we're doing this. Now, you know, now we added this. But then you go so much time and it's like, oh, now we're back to this. It's like Alyssa with her no sleeping, like she's on such a bad sleep spell, but it's like not the first time that it's happened, and it certainly isn't going to be the last time. When it's happening, you feel like, I feel like this hasn't happened since like the pandemic, but it's not true because it like came up on my memories and I was like, oh, you were doing this a year ago, really? Or like listening to the different things in the podcast, it's like, oh, it just feels like so much stuff just repeats itself. I don't know. It's
cycle. We don't know when the cycle.
I was just gonna say, you get to a place of comfort and then it's like, oh, we're not sleeping.
The rug is pulled.
Shoot.
Or you're like dreading it when you are in the good. You're either dreading it coming or you forget, and then you're like, oh, I forgot how much this sucks.
Yes, Jamie. Yep.
Rach, what about you and like the move and everything? How do you feel like where you were then? Because you guys were literally, I think, like moving.
Yeah.
Up to move while we were doing that.
And was that when? That was when you didn't have Celia at that time? Is that?
So I think when we recorded this episode, we had picked this house. We had not yet gotten a closing date, perhaps. Like, I think we were working into getting here. What I know we didn't understand yet was where Celie would be. I'm pretty sure. I think for me, just to refresh our listeners, we moved just one town down. We stayed within the same county so that our resources and stuff could stay the same. But we were in a 2-level townhome before, a townhome that had like this lookout loft area where when Simone Biles was in the Olympics, my daughter decided that loft was a balance beam, and where sleep fell apart and aggression became part of our routine, and where all the shelves were thrown and the front door led out to a pond, and all this dangerous stuff kind of happened there. And so we thought as a family, the only thing that we could do to keep her home, you know, sort of the proverbial keep her home, meaning not turning to a residential setting when she was so little, was to find a place for her to go so that we could transition into this new house, so that we could try to be safer here and then bring her home once she was sort of settled. What ended up happening, if you do listen, is that in the group home was shoddy that we were referred to, and she ended up staying with the respite family that I've talked a lot about on the podcast, but she stayed with Chris and Dave for 83 days while we packed in like 10, got here, unpacked, prepared, and got her home. Jamie, it's like not what I had imagined and everything I had imagined, and so much less and so much more.
I feel that with my whole heart.
Yeah, it is. It's like we thought that because we told all the people, like we rang all the whistles and the bells that we were in crisis, that would qualify us for getting help. And what turns out happening is by the end of the foster stay and the move, like the only things that really changed for us was that we let Chris support us and her, and that we learned how to build other systems, and we got to like hand select that, like from every detail of our life, we got to put it back into this house to trigger her less. For instance, American Girl doll stuff came. It's not real American Girl doll. It's like the Target Girl doll.
Target Girl doll.
Yeah, so we do the Target Girl doll because the Barbies are too triggering. So like in the move, she's gone for 83 days. We could change all of that. Barbies, she's never even asked for a Barbie now that we're here. So like the big stuff, the little stuff all got to shift. And I think overall we did a pretty good job. She really was stabilized at Chris's house. She slept, like that was one of my questions to rehash in our Q&A, is about sleep a little bit. But to jump to my answer, we didn't know she could sleep. Like I didn't know that she could sleep.
Go to bed.
I was gonna say, you also are using those magical words.
We got those 3 magic words from Chris, and we've been able to keep up routine. I will say now, since she's been home for several months, go to sleep doesn't work. When you're in depression, I think it might be that she can sleep during mania. You know, each year, each cycle, each rhythm changed. We learned more about
mom and dad, you know, like the comfort of home, you know, our kids. But I was gonna say for both of you with your moves, and I know, you know, all truths are in pictures on social media, but genuinely your kids seem so much happier with the space.
Yes.
No, outdoor space for you, Rach having a backyard space that's been and Tabs being in Montana where there's like more nature and stuff to explore.
Look, I mean,
getting your kids.
Yeah, I think I've said that a couple of times. I'm like, Nora just seems like this
balanced.
And like you said, you think cutting back a bit for her, right? Like,
and it is the nature for sure. And Montana has a slow pace.
Yes, the hustle and bustle's gone.
Yeah, the hustle and bustle, like we're not in traffic for 40 minutes every day and, you know, waiting for things for endless amounts of time, and, you know, just the people are less and there's just like a calmer vibe. And I think winter in general provides that. Like you have to slow down if you're living in negative 400 degrees, which is what it feels like right now. Just kidding, people, it's only 20. It's gonna get worse.
It's gonna get worse. So one of the things that I wanted to rehash about our Q&A from the last time is, what are some of the best therapies that you guys, like I just want to do some quick fire. So what are some of the best therapies or things that you've come up with that you would tell another family about? For us, it isn't about a specific therapy. It's about the chemistry and trusting that. Like if there's bad chemistry with someone with Sealy, I don't care if we are going to wait 8 weeks. So we give it the old college try. Like I could be out of there on day 3. And the good ones are because they jive with her. How about you guys? Do you have any best things?
I think that's exactly with Alyssa, Rachel, because she's not doing speech therapy because she had a therapist that she didn't jive with, and now she will not do virtual therapy whatsoever. So like they were going to call us back when they went back to the office and they never called. So we just haven't gone back. But I agree with that. I really think it's the chemistry and how much somebody understands your child and how much they believe in your child as well. I think it's a combination of those things. And if you don't have those things, I don't think that any therapy is going to work.
Yeah. We had the lovely Chelsea on. You ladies met Chelsea. And she was Kaya's OT, and she was genuinely in that. She was the second therapist in all of the thousands we all know our kids see, was Jackie, her speech language pathologist, who put me on to Chelsea. And those two, literally, I've talked about it extensively. I feel like they changed our lives. She was so invested in Kaya. I mean, Chelsea really cared about her. And so I agree with you wholeheartedly, Rachel. It's about how they are with our kids. They get out of them, not get out of them what they need, but it's a productive session because there's so much trust there.
Right.
way of saying it.
Yeah. I think that the thing that I hope that people know is that if you have a shoddy speech therapist, it isn't about speech therapy not working. It could be about PECs not working. It could be about the device not working. It could be about this, like 100 things. It could be about the vibe. It could be about the frickin' door jam walking into the place. But keep trying, because like we had this dreamboat skills worker, Lacey, who I've talked a lot about. She is excellent. And as invested in Celia as she was like curious about her, she's like, well, I need to learn more about this, or I've not had a kid with bipolar that's this young. I need to learn about it. Like she was just invested so much. So we couldn't necessarily replace her. But now we're at a place where the Lacey missing her is worn down, that we could like try another skills worker and not have this one to compare to that one, you know, but just keep trying. Even though we're not going to get another Dreamboat Lacey, we could get a Dreamboat Doug that rocks our world that we didn't even know.
Yeah, maybe.
I've never had a Dreamboat Doug. I've never.
I have an Uncle Doug.
Is he a Dreamboat, Jamie?
Is he a Dreamboat?
No.
My boss is Doug.
Yeah.
Is he a Dreamboat?
You know, his wife might listen one day, so I'm going to leave it at that. He's a lovely man. He's a lovely man.
And you have said that in other podcasts. You said that in other episodes.
In this last one.
I was listening today.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I work for a great guy.
And does anybody have any real actionable things to add about sleep that we've not discussed in a quickie way? To me, it's about charting. People don't believe you when you say the words everybody can say. My kid doesn't sleep. Like Kim and I were just talking about it.
Put a watch on them. Put one of those Fitbits on them. Track that sleep.
Because people don't argue with charts, do they?
See, I don't even.
A memory came up of my Fitbit tracking, and it said like my total sleep was 3 hours, but it was like I've slept for this half hour, and then this, and then this, and I'm like, this isn't me. This is my child waking up. And I literally had to show someone that because they don't believe you.
Yeah.
But, and I've said this before, because sleep is, I feel like everyone, the experts, obviously every person with autism is unique, which is every individual, but I get that part.
Not when it comes to sleep.
But there's some fundamental things that our children have in common, and frickin' sleep is number one. There is something about our children. It's like, I think Alyssa sleep is, I know this is not a contest at the table, but I mean, that girl can
She wins. She wins.
Right now she's a winner, right? Yeah. But it ebbs and flows. Like what Kimmy was saying before we started recording. It's like, for us, knock on wood, it's okay, right? It's good right now, but that could change in a heartbeat. So it's different. And I don't think I would have understood unless I had a child with autism or a disability or something that affects their sleep, because I've had friends say to me, well, I have kids and kids don't sleep. Yeah. But the difference is your children do eventually sleep and they grow up and they leave your house. But you know what I mean? Like these children, it does shift for them.
There's also like if my nephews don't sleep, like, let's just be real about, they could get up, they could make their own cereal, they could iPad for 2 hours. My kid might leave the damn front door, get hit by a car on her way to the pond, but stark naked.
Yeah.
Glitter. It's different. You can't
follow the glitter trail.
I told someone that Nora just recently, because they're talking about this, she's in a sleep struggle right now. I was like, my daughter was literally up for 48 hours, not a wink of sleep in 48 hours. And they were like, what do you mean? I'm like, did you hear the words that came out of my mouth? That is what I mean. Not a wink of sleep in 48 hours. She's 3 years old.
And it's not like you can put her in front of the TV and you take a 2-hour nap. No. You have to be up with them because
no, your head's in the freezer trying to stay awake. Like, wake up, get cold, stay alert.
Well, the thing is,
people don't believe that.
I have with Alyssa, it's like, I don't have to do that stuff and worry about that stuff anymore. She will sit on her iPad while she's awake. You know what I mean? She's not going to run out the door, but I'm never going to get a good rested sleep, even if I'm in my room sleeping, knowing that she's awake. Knowing that she's awake now, she's on such a screwed up sleep pattern right now where she like woke up at midnight for the day yesterday. Midnight, which means now she's up, and then she was up from midnight to 4 o'clock, and then she slept from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m.
And this has literally been since last week, Tuesday, don't you think?
Now she's gonna go, she won't most likely will not go back to sleep now until tomorrow. But there's other things. That means the other day she went 24 hours without eating because she woke up at 12:30. We were already sleeping. We actually had to sleep in her room because she was sleeping in our room. So she got up to come in her room. We were already sleeping and we just transferred beds. She didn't eat. She didn't eat the whole day because she was sleeping.
Yeah.
She ate the night before. Basically, she had breakfast for dinner because it was our dinner, but for her breakfast. And she might get a snack, like she might get an ice cream or something like that from the fridge, but like freezer, but like she's not going to eat anything substantial.
Hold on, I already forgot. What is
well, I purposely didn't say that because I don't want to confuse people and have them not know what I'm talking about. So.
Oh, I was going to share the new language with
yeah,
her.
so we call them hoodsies. I don't know.
The ice cream cup listeners, the ice cream cup.
The ice cream cups that are half chocolate, half vanilla, and then you pull the paper tab off, and they used to come with a wooden spoon, but now they don't because the companies are too cheap to give us those anymore.
Those wooden foods were the best.
Here in Massachusetts, we call those hoodsie cups. I don't know. I guess nobody here else on the podcast calls them that. But
yeah,
so Alyssa had a hoodsie cup last night. I know she had that because there was only one left and it was gone this morning. But other than that, I don't think she won't feed herself. That's the thing, and she won't come get you. So like now didn't eat for 24 hours, which isn't good either.
The whole chain of things that happens.
Yeah, like she's not eating right. My daughter has no internal clock.
Yeah,
she just doesn't. It's just not there. It just does not exist for her. So when her schedule gets off, and it usually happens like a little bit by a little bit, but what really messed her up is we tried sleep medicine for her. She had 2 doses and she slept 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. And then she woke up at 1 a.m. and was up for the whole rest of the day. And this really cemented it in. And I think it was the whole time change kind of messed her up a little bit. I don't know like what's going to happen. Oh, if she'll ever go back.
Well, and it's always one, like I think about this all the time. Like we try and trace back like what caused the ripple, right? Yeah. Like when did this start? When exactly did this start? For like us, the kids were sick. And so Nora was not sleeping because she was sick, and then she was napping because she was
worn out,
sick. Then she's not sleeping at night, and her whole schedule is just jacked because of like a 2-hour miss of sleep or whatever.
Like her brain does not register it out. It can't.
Yeah.
Any sleep she has, and even though it was 11 to 1 a.m., which is only 2 hours, that was her sleep for the night. Her brain and her body there'll be no other sleep now. So now she's up until she's asleep again. And on a normal basis, she doesn't sleep well. She might go to sleep at 4 a.m. and be up at 8. Like that would be like decent for her. That would be typical for her.
Yeah.
But then she gets up at 8 and now is up again until 2 or 3 in the morning. So she's up for like 17, 18 hours again before she does that 4 hours again, which that's the problem. Because then when in the course of a week, she might be sleeping 12, 15 hours in the course of like 4 days, 5 days. That's where her lack of sleep really comes in. It's like when you really like stretch it out. Like even her doctor was like, what do you mean by she doesn't sleep? And I'm like, well, this is what her sleep patterns are. And he's like, yeah, we got to get her sleeping. So we do have a plan to stop the medicine again, but I can't do it when she's waking up at midnight. Like, when am I going to give her the medicine?
That's just what it always is. I mean, always. It's like you could track one theme, but it doesn't matter. There's always like 39 variables and one big hurdle.
Yeah.
Like, God dang.
When it's like overtired.
Yeah.
Like our kids could not be overtired because that just begets more overtiredness. It does not beget sleep. Like sleep.
Yes. Yeah, to hell with that home.
The nap thing when if he like round 4 when like the naps, well he like napped kind of into 2, but he was never good at napping. But it was the same thing. We stopped him napping because if he slept, that was it.
Yeah.
So I remember like if we would drive home from school or something and he fell asleep at like 3 or 4 p.m.
Yeah,
I would bawl worst. Because I knew he would sleep until 7 and then that's it.
Yeah.
Like just overtime the cycle. So it's hard.
And my kids too, if you wake them up from a nap,
holy hell.
Oh no.
Holy hell.
You just worst meltdowns we've ever had.
Us too.
We just had a listener drive to the ditch. Nobody wakes up our kids.
Tell you, how many people be like, oh, just wake her up. No. Just don't let her sleep. Just wake her up.
I'm like, you come over.
Wake her up.
Yeah.
Well, because this child is sleep deprived. So when she's sleeping, it's like, if you can open a door and Alyssa doesn't wake up, then like she's in like a coma basically. So if I wake her up in that state, I mean, forget it. It's like waking like.
Plus, why don't you take her for the next 4 months?
Well, and if you can stop
because it
her
isn't
sleeping,
about that morning. I mean, it's about the sasshole that becomes.
If you could stop her from sleeping, that's okay. Like she'll get kind of crabby and grumpy, but like you can't wake her up because like she literally will be psychotic. Like you just there's you can't do it.
Well, and that's the best. I will say that that's the one good advice I've ever gotten really from a doctor is like try, even if the pattern's off, try to get them on a pattern. So that's what we do for Jess. Like if he started falling asleep at 4 p.m. and he would sleep till 7, then we would, if that happened again the next day, we'd try to get him to sleep till 8 and just try to grow that sleep and then start pushing it back. Because like getting them on some sort of pattern where they're getting sleep so that their body can rest. Because
that's the best.
You're screwed.
We did that
decision.
4 o'clock sleepers for years. That's when we would start the routine. Because it was like, if you missed that window, you'd be 48 hours.
It came to us too, like what we are with Jesse now, not pushing sleep. Like my friends are like, oh, my kids go to bed at 7. I'm like, that's cute. Because if we try to put him down before, I would say 8:39, it's hours of fighting. And then that pushes the sleep back even more. Like it has to, like you were saying, Rach, you have to find that like golden
spot.
No window.
And then if he's not asleep within 45 minutes, you know you're screwed.
Get up.
Yeah.
We get up, like we just stop, like let's do an activity, let's have a snack, let's try again, because
the best thing I ever did as a parent, gold star, was bedtime routine, hands down. My kids have a very strict time that they go to bed. How we do it, it's very quick, very simple. And we started that at 4 months old. I just discussed that my daughter is in a sleep hell right now, but she will still go to her bedroom at the time that she's set to go to bed and lay in bed because we set up a routine. Now she gets up at the crack of dawn right now, which is not great for anyone involved, and will stay up for extended periods of time. But the routine is like so golden. Like, I don't know.
That's one of the real ways that you can see when your kid. So like me bringing Celie through our strict routine, meaning ours, the parents, shows me what's real. Like if she's really fussy, I'm going to see it then. If she's got pain, if she's sick, if she's something is askew, I can only see it because of the way that she's reacting within my structure. Like if she's running off 100 times from this part that we normally do, I can tell that there's something additional brewing. If we were willy-nilly, I wouldn't be able to catch all of the things that we maybe at least have our eye on.
Mm-hmm.
If we
Alyssa waits for me to go to bed and then she gets up. I hear her door open the second it's like she's doing this thing where she's like laying down on the couch, which is where like I used to sleep on the couch, but I don't anymore. And so she's laying on the couch and I'm like, why is she doing this? It's so weird. And she's got blankets and I'm like, is she sleeping on the couch? Like I'm so confused right now. But then I realized after she's on the couch, so I can't. That's where like I'll sit on my phone, like go watch videos or whatever, or
she's like, why don't you go to bed?
So she's on the couch, so I have nowhere to go.
Smarty dance. Smarty
and then
dance.
The second I go in my room, because I stood by my door and listen, I could hear her get up. I hear the fridge open, I hear the cabinets open. I'm like, this little
I was gonna say too about the routine thing. Not to say that Tabs is wrong at all, but for us, I was like that since I was a nanny before, like I knew how to get kids to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But what Kimmy said earlier about the internal clock, I swear my kid does not release melatonin.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
He does not, like, there's no like, I'm tired, I'm gonna fall asleep.
Oh yeah.
It's either like up or out. And I think that was the thing that really, before we knew autism or anything, sleep was my first cue that something was different.
Yeah.
Because for once he started having night terrors really young, but always I was like, my kid doesn't like get sleepy and fall asleep. And you kind of have to be with him to help him fall asleep. And I know I've probably screwed up somewhere with that because we still have to lay with him to get him to sleep, but it's like, he cannot rest.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Well, their bodies
take 5+ hours to fall asleep.
Yeah. And their bodies
laying her in her bed, like 5+ hours to fall asleep.
My kids' bodies are definitely always in motion. Even when they're sleeping, they're still in motion. Yeah. But what I meant about the routine is that obviously we have sleep problems. I'm exhausted. But what I meant about the routine is the cues for bedtime. Yeah. It's starting that early. Like whatever that looks like for you, laying down, or like
Iron
for
and
us,
wine, bath time.
yes,
Iron
yes,
and wine, the band. I'm not kidding.
yes,
Wine.
yes. We do pajamas. I do a reminder for Nixon, 20 minutes. We do a book. We say goodnight, close the door. You know, that's our routine. And he does now sometimes ask for us to sleep with him, but we usually lay with him for like 5 minutes or whatever. And same with Nora, her routine's the same. But that has helped, even if there's a sleep struggle, because then they're in their bed at least, not maneuvering around the house. Nora, I feel like, is going to give me a run for my money. No,
I was
what.
like, that is so cute.
Yeah, she really is. I mean, she
just,
doesn't
and,
sleep.
I just like
fast forward to her listening to your bedroom door shut, and she leaves.
Yeah. Well, now she's just yelling.
But the fact that she stays in there is like
that's
amazing.
awesome.
It's like Jesse, we always had like the routine down. We did the bath, we did the lotion, this, that, like every night trying to get him to sleep. But like, and even the times in his life he would just fall asleep, which did happen for a short period of time. It's like once he was up, he either was destroying his room or he just could stand over my bed like a creeper. I'm like, stay in there.
Nixon
oh
did
my
that.
God, I hate that.
Yeah, he did the room destroying for a while. Like he would take everything out of his.
Yep.
I'd rather a destroyed room than
drawers.
that. Like, am I gonna punch this creature that's staring right into my soul when I wake up?
So Alyssa has never done that, but like my other kids have done that. And it would be like that thing that like all of a sudden you open your eye and
You feel it.
And a lot of times they have like a blanket over them, so it looks like a hood. I'm like, what is happening right now? And finally one time I'm like, Lexi, do not ask to come in my bed. Just come in my bed. Just come in. Don't stand there. Don't stare at us. Don't ask us. Just come in the bed.
You look like a creep.
Don't stare at us.
You're freaking me out.
Oh
you look
God,
like
it's like something
creep.
out of a nightmare.
No, it
It's like,
totally is.
Paranormal activity.
Yeah.
And it's like dark, so you always like seeing the shadow. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yours
think
was a
once
blanket
Nora-
like that hood really probably does layer.
Well, because it's like they always have
Mine starts naked. She's like white buffalo.
Yeah. I think once Nora learns that, like, she's taking steps right now, it's a yelling situation. She yells until I get up.
Yeah.
So once she learns, I'll be in trouble probably.
Yeah.
It's those learned things too. It's like something's not a problem until it's a problem, right?
I mean, that's the truth.
Like,
I think that's how you say autism backwards.
Something
like everything's good until it's a freaking problem.
I mean, we really aren't being very hopeful for you.
Well, listen, this is one of the things that I wanted to touch on before we're done here, ladies, with our first episode of this series. I need to tell the people, because we get so many messages. If this is a remix of Q&A, we get lots of messages about like, it's so good to listen to you guys. I can hear your connection. I've talked to people that have followed our whole podcast and people that have found us and binged, and they can hear the smiles and they all yearn for what the perception is that we have. And so I just want to be real clear to all 4 of you, but also to our listeners. Number one, I love you so much. That's really what it takes. And constantly feeding our friendship does take time. Like friending takes work. Finding support takes work. I can tell you that a lot of times we fight for each other, for what our goals are, but sometimes we fight each other, like 5 best friend sisters. Like it's real. And I think that we only have this because we all put the work in. There are times when we could go 5 days where one of us is off grid, but somebody's checking up or somebody's checking in, or that's the person's MO. That's
me lately too.
But having what we have really does take work, and it really is worth it. It really is worth it to like shoot a text out when I'm having my own bad day because I'm wondering about one of your kids, or it's worth it to be rescued, like to answer the call when I haven't talked to anybody in 3 days and somebody calls like, hey, Rach, what's going on? It's work to answer, but it's so worth it. And it's probably opened up my heart to receive so much more support this past year than I could have had without knowing you guys. So I want people to understand. Do you guys have any tips for friending for our listeners?
I mean, like just moments like this, like how important it is to find people who can relate. Like this whole sleep thing, I felt so alone. Like I felt like I was like fundamentally thought something was wrong with me as a mother, that I could not get my kid to sleep.
Same.
So to have like a group of friends where some of you have had the similar issues and we can even laugh about it, it's like, thank goodness. Like,
yeah,
just finding people that you can relate to, and not everything we can relate on. There's like, we all have differences, but it's just nice having that baseline of like understanding. It's a lot of give and take. And I think in this life, like our friendship is probably a lot different than other mom, parent, friends friendship, because there's like chunks of time where we're like, I'm checked out, or this and this is going. And then, you know, there's times like we each go through things and the rest of us are too in it to even check on each other. But there has to be a lot of give and take and like love and forgiveness in those times. Like
grace,
I can't be
a
like,
lot of grace.
like Kimmy's having a hard week. I can't be mad at Kimmy because I'm also having a hard week and she can't check in, because we just know that we're both probably struggling, and oh well, we'll see each other when it's good in a week, hopefully.
Yeah.
But if one of us needs somebody, somebody will be there, like regardless of what is probably going on.
Get a group of 4 or 5 so that you
so that's
we do suggest
someone's always down and out, but there's always someone else there to pick it
if
up.
someone reaches out, which I know that we're not the best at doing that. Most of us are not good at that at all. But if we do, if we're in that place where we needed to reach out, then people would be there regardless. So I think that's
well, I think knowing that about each other too is like, if someone's on the other side opening up, you know how hard it is for them to do that. And so then you feel even more seen, I guess, when you're like, hey, this is how deeply shitty I feel right now. And I feel okay to tell you that I'm sorry, I can't message back or look at, you know, whatever, because I'm a hot mess. And people understand, like, if you are not sleeping for an entire week, you can't do anything. But
well, I'm not a nice person, so I mean, I'm old. I'll say right now, knock on wood, I'm not gonna go off too much on this, but right now it's getting her to sleep is a problem. But she does sleep through the night. I'm very thankful. I actually have to wake her up for school in the morning. Never thought that would happen. But there's, you know, years where we were in this, but there's the odd time here and there. And people,
you are so unhappy.
24 plus hours where I can't. I'm like, I'm a raging. I'm like, I don't know how I did this for so long. This is not good. This is not good. No. And then Mr. Link Sender tells me how tired he is. And then I want to do bad things. I do very bad things.
The rage.
Can I say something too about our friendship? I think like, because when I was listening to this episode, we were talking a lot. And I mean, obviously this was like 6 months ago now, but I think we've had the bumpiest time in our friendship since the naming of the podcast. Since then, like, because we've all just had really rough times. We've all been in it. Kimmy's lost her mom's. Tab's gone through a life change. Rachel's been going through a lot. I've just had a lot of mental health things. Jen has been going through a lot. Kaya's schooling and all this different stuff and almost moving, but not moving. Like, we've just all been through it. And I feel like for me, it was interesting to look back at our friendship, because it's like, I think we know each other on a deeper level now. Our friendship has, I think, we know each other more.
Evolved.
And we hold each other to a higher standard, I think. I don't know. So, where it's not like the niceties in a way are kind of gone, but we just, like, I think I mentioned in a recent episode, it's like when we finally do get together, we used to talk every single night, and we just can't do that anymore right now. And so when we do get together, I'm like, thank goodness we have the podcast, because it really
makes it happen.
We have to come together.
I was gonna say that. I agree with you, Jane, but I've like some of the only or the most successful relationships I've seen out of collective women are like the moms group. Like, oh, we go out on Thursday nights the second week of the month or whatever it is. Like, having the structure to that really holds us accountable. I mean, truly knowing that Monday or the odd Wednesday or whatever, like, it's our night. It's something that we all can protect and participate in. And I know that each one of us, I mean, we all like to say, like, we're the oddest couple and we never would have been together if we had not been.
You did.
That made me cut up.
I want to see how many times you've said that on all of our episodes of this podcast.
I secretly hate everyone.
Kim loves, if you're just coming in, Kim loves to talk about how we would never have been friends. And there's always like this emphasis.
ever.
Oh, God.
But look, here we are.
I just mean because we're different ages, we live in different parts of the country.
Here it goes.
We're, we got stay-at-home moms and attorneys. It's like we probably would never have crossed paths.
Just want you to know it's actually not helping. It's not actually helping. I'll let you know.
So funny.
But and I think she was like, I hope, I mean, obviously, I hope there's times in our lives where we get back to that every single night call.
Yeah,
I do too.
Go forever.
But I think the podcast also like kind of interrupted that because we have so many times that we are committed to be together, to do the recordings, to do meetings. I mean, Jamie, you're looking at our faces and listen to our voices every day of the week when you're
and
editing.
sometimes I do forget I don't see you guys every day because I'm like
editing.
I listen to us a lot, so I feel like we talk more than we do too.
So I think that's the other thing. It's like we just have less time because we have the commitment of doing the podcast and all the other things that go along with it. So it's like a twofold, I think.
Like you still have to work to make the time to be a friend. And that's kind of the point that I was trying to make, is that like we do all fight for each other when we're not fighting each other. And we do all fight to be in this against our life or our schedule or our routine. And it's worth it. And that's kind of the thing I want people to hear, is that it does take work, but it's just so good.
I think something I said on the I listened to many episodes tonight, so I could be wrong. I said, oh, I have 4 more cheerleaders for Alyssa. Like, and that means so much to me.
Yeah. And I think in general, like I was thinking about this the other day, because people who are in my life here
physically
keep saying they miss seeing me because I'm not seeing anyone. Really. I mean, like the availability.
You're like, take a picture.
Yeah.
I mean, just generally, I'm like, you know, tuned out.
Yeah, but don't you tabs miss you tabs?
Yeah.
So you're like, get in line. Whatever. Everybody misses me.
Shut up, people.
Yeah. It's just this time of my life specifically, like adjusting, and then also just being completely exhausted at the end of the day of parenting for so long. But I do miss, like, I think about it often, like I miss the cheerleading for myself and talking to you guys and hearing about your lives. Like, I don't know what the heck is going on right now.
I know.
And that makes me a bit sad sometimes.
It's also because of the stupid thing that it only rings when Rachel calls.
What the hell?
We need to talk to
It
Mark
only
Zuckerberg.
rings when Rachel calls. Kimmy can't hear us unless she calls.
No,
I couldn't do either.
I see you.
It's that thread.
This app has not been good to us that we're using, people. I don't know why.
Before we would all call and people would pick up, and now we only pick up if Rachel calls because nobody hears it if anybody else calls.
That's true. Yeah.
Curtsy.
Well, I just love you guys, and
I
like
love
the other
that.
day, Kimmy wrote a beautiful piece about how depressed and down she's been, and I felt so shitty. I was like, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I was talking to you about it the day before.
You just don't mention Jamie. I'm just kidding.
It's not getting better. It's not getting better. I
gotta go.
I probably downplayed it a little bit.
Well, you did say the time change thing, which I thought you were just, I mean, and this is it, people. You never know if someone's really feeling. I thought she was just complaining about the time change again, because she keeps talking about how the time change is getting her down. But I think she's just complaining about how dark it gets in her tree area.
No, but really, she was crying out for help, and you're such a...
I think I have...
The piece is more depth. Had more depth.
I believe I have seasonal depression because this happens to me around the same time every
year. Yes.
And I think the sunlight, the less light does contribute to it. But I think it's also the time of year.
Well, I do sell sunshine for a living, so go get a tan. You'll feel better.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, tanning does help with seasonal depression.
Do you think if I'm depressed, I'm going to leave the house and go tanning? I won't even take a shower.
I'm just saying, it's supposed to help. I can't tan because, you know, skin cancer.
Because you're white.
And I'm white as hell.
No, I would tan. I don't care. But yeah, that's an awful lot of energy when you're...
Well, I think
we love you, Kitty.
Like during this time, like all of us obviously struggle with mental health conditions. I mean, it's a mixed bag here with the mental
health. For yourself, I'm as even keel as they get.
I also just had a very, very low day.
Yeah.
I kind of wrote the piece later, like late that night, and then finished it the next morning. And that when I published it, I had I kind of felt a little better that I had the day I wrote it. Because I probably would never post something like that when I was feeling like that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And then everybody's like, I mean, I got so much love and support from that post. And so many people are like, I know exactly how you feel. I feel the same way. you've put into words like my exact feelings that I could never put into words. And the reason I wrote it was not necessarily to make people feel bad for me or to be, it's to make other people feel seen, because I know there's people that can't talk about it. And I know there's people like my husband that just say, don't be depressed, cheer up, don't get down about things. And I'm like,
the friend Jamie who just ignores.
I feel like this was more of a conversation about seasonal depression, but I really, really, truly love you guys. This year, I mean, come on now.
And everybody did reach out to me. Every one of you's reached out to me afterwards. So
good.
I know you.
I saw your post. Didn't know that you were struggling.
We're all in a storm. Sorry.
It did happen quick. It was just a real bad day from like the beginning of the day throughout the day, and it just hit me really hard. It wasn't really like coming.
Extended.
It was just, yeah.
Okay.
And and these are the moments I wish we all were like billionaires, so I could just go hang out with Tab.
Oh my God.
I would love
that.
that.
I've wanted.
I would love that.
You know how many flights I've
why
booked
is your
to
AirPods so
BC
freaking expensive?
Freaking
and to
Billings,
Boston?
Montana.
I know, all of us.
God
We've
damn.
all looked up how much it is to fly to Billings, Montana. It is not cheap.
It's not cheap. It's not
Elon,
cheap.
I need a private jet, please.
Yes.
You know, we need a
Mark?
couple things. If you could call us.
I did just get a spare bed in my basement. So, I mean,
But
it's
do
not
you
put
have a
together yet.
couch?
We could put it together.
Together.
Actually, if you come, that'd be great. I can help put that thing together.
Bring an Allen wrench.
It's so piled.
Bring a wrench.
I got wrenches. I got the whole tool set. I got a drill, whatever we need. I got
Should
it.
we finish this episode?
Yeah. let's do
Yeah.
it.
Okay, everybody,
Why?
we want you to know that we love you, and we hope that you find what we have. We hope that you find it in your heart to love the place that you're in, because everything's so temporary. There's good happening in every that. Can we cut that? There isn't good in every moment. We all know that.
It's
July
good in
to
every episode.
January. There's good in every episode, so keep listening.
Keep listening. Keep on coming back.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jamie up for her remix of an episode. I can't wait.
And if you want to re-listen to the episode we're talking about, it's our Q&A number 2, and it's part 1. It came out in July. If you want to go find
Go
it.
check it out.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for sitting at the table for this episode of the Table for 5 No Reservations podcast. To learn more, please read the description of this episode. In there, you can also find where to sign up for our newsletter and how to become a supporter. Join us next week for more, and while you wait, check out our content on Facebook and Instagram. If you are enjoying the podcast, please make sure to subscribe and rate and review us wherever you listen. To contact us, you can email us at tablefor5podcast@gmail.com. We can't wait to sit with you again. Bye!